Welcome, everybody. Welcome back to the forum. And we have a very special guest with us today. And if you could pin Arthur, there we go. Arthur Samuel Joseph. He is our recipient
Hi,
of this
Kathy.
year's Legend
Kathy,
Award.
I'm sorry, I'm just.
You're a legend. You can do whatever you want, Arthur.
Yeah. I'm just old.
Thank you so much for being with us. Yes, Kathy McAfee introduced us. It was a great day when that happened, and been so delighted because Mark talks about the family, and one of the characteristics is you get an automatic yes whenever you ask. And likewise, we'll give an automatic yes if we can. And certainly you have been that to us. We appreciate so much everything you've done for our authors. And just let me do the fan part first, Arthur. So vocal leadership, also another one on Audible, Vocal Power. Get them on Audible and listen to them. Read by the author. It's so important because we're talking about voice and vocal leadership and vocal power. And this is somebody who has spent 5 decades. And
My 58th year this year.
Bravo. And it's about a lifetime journey and helping you on a lifetime journey. And it's so important. Arthur, thank you so much for all that you do to help people. Why don't you give us a window into your world right now?
Well, before I do, and I know I only have 20 minutes, but I have to always begin by acknowledging you and Mark, because there's a Yiddish expression called, you both are what are called mensches. You're a mensch, meaning a whole person. And as you see me write to you all the time, it's a privilege. It means a great deal. So thank you very much. And as I said, this is my 58th year. I'm in New York, just landed a couple of hours ago. We're in Atlanta for 2 weeks. Everybody tune in June 23rd and watch Dwayne Wade host the 2nd season of The Cube on TBS. He is stunning. And I'm just so blessed to get to have the life that I'm privileged to have. There's nothing to see. I don't like talking about myself. So I'm just happy to be here and do whatever I can to support you and your courageous colleagues. I remember when I had the idea 30 or 35 years ago or whatever to write my first book, I was told I'm a babbler, not a writer. So I need to hire an editor to help me. And so I hired a husband-wife team in Venice, California. And this was like 30, 35 years ago. It cost me like $5,000 that many years ago. That was serious money. So what is it today? And got my chapter, got all the stuff that you're supposed to do. And my agent at the time was, what's her name? Wonderful woman out of Dallas. Tony Robbins' agent, Deepak's agent. I can't remember her name. Begins with an R, her last name. And she got me all these fancy meetings. All the publishers are sort of in the same building. It seems to be on Fifth Avenue. And went from floor to floor, and they loved meeting me. Then they read this treatment, and nobody signed me. And then I just let it die. And I went back and found it in my drawer several years later, and it was terrible. I don't know what I was thinking that I actually considered as good. But the book never sounded like the man they met. So the simple point is, I began writing it myself. And as you know, and that was for the HCI folks. And this is called The Sound of the Soul, because for HCI, everything had to have soul in it. And they're the chicken soup folks. And I write all my books by speaking them. And I teach all my students to do the same thing, whether it's speeches or books, because when we're typing, we're editing. And I want to begin always with what I call a big block of clay. Let's start with all this stuff, weed it out. But let me just get it out of me. That's my style anyway. And so, Henry, you're always so patient with me. My God.
Well, I wanted to talk about voice with a capital V.
Oh, I love it.
And we cite your book as an example, and I know some of our authors
Do you
here.
want to play before you finish, or do you want to let me just have you keep going?
Well, let's have the master speak, not me. Why listen to the
But
back end
tell
of the
them what
horse
you're.
when you can talk to the front end of the horse?
I won't even nothing for this, please. But I only want them to hear you speak in stature and embody the man you are, so they can experience the capital V voice.
Arthur, you're an extraordinary man, and you do extraordinary things.
See, they wouldn't have gotten to hear that, man. I just got to chill. Thank you. And Kathy noticed. Kathy always writes the word. Oh, it's not sweet. Kathy, we're gonna. By the way, we're gonna be in Nashville in June, so let's plan to hook up if we can. Sorry for all the people watching. I got to. Yes.
So I know you're looking to perpetuate your work, for your work to carry on. Could you talk about that?
I'm doing she came to the last public seminar that I spoke at for you guys before it shut us all down. Magnificent woman, June Bea is her name. She has a company out of San Diego called Bea Group. And one of the major components of it is something called Work Wonder, where her goal is to help students become the heroes in their own journeys. So we're discussing, I've been doing a lot of webinars with her and in person when we can, with rising high school seniors. And we have had a couple of thousand probably over the last 2.5 years go through our work. And there are a handful that actually now are college freshmen who want to learn to teach this work. And a decade ago, I had a seminar, 2 one-week seminars. People came in literally from all over the world, and twice. And my goal was to pass it on. I couldn't graduate a one, even though these are bright, committed people. So I came back and rethought this. And when I do things like you just saw me briefly do, this is art. That is something that takes a long time to embody. So I've reframed what it is to embody vocal awareness and be able to teach it. And June is really committed. There are at least 3 students who are truly committed. In fact, 3 of them led a workshop for educators in Sacramento last weekend. And I was in virtual for 15 minutes. They ran it for an hour and a quarter. And it was just so wonderful, so wonderful. And so to perpetuate this work, I really, as I said, I'm 76 now, and this is legacy time, as you've heard me discuss. And I'm really looking for people to help perpetuate the work. Kathy, my goodness, she walks on water as far as I'm concerned, and would be somebody I would entrust. You would be someone I would entrust. So did I answer your question? We haven't talked about capital V yet.
Capital V in voice. It's an exception to the rule in publishing that we would capitalize a word that's not a proper noun. And yet you led the way on how that could work. And McGraw-Hill, I believe we have the same publisher there, McGraw-Hill blessed it. So it's an example that we use. But when you capitalize voice, you're talking about something else than the lowercase word voice.
The lowercase v is out here, my speaking voice. The capital V voice is what I call my inner voice. We have 7 rituals in vocal awareness, as you know. The 6th one is pay attention, deeper listening. And that refers to this conversation between source and self, capital S, that only we are privy to. And this is the capital V voice. This is the one that impacts our persona statement. How do I want to be known? Because as you know, the root of the word persona literally means through the sound. Our identity is conveyed through the sound of our voice. When I just asked you to take a moment to be in statue, you did that so quickly and honestly, not just doing it, you were in it. These are ways to embody the capital V voice because they change us from self-conscious, conscious of self, and they lead to the seventh ritual of 3 words, not 2, be myself with a capital S. So the capital V voice permeates everything we do. Because vocal awareness is about embodying, it is about claiming, it is about being, never presenting. And so the capital V voice, my persona, the integration of mind, body, spirit, because this is communication mastery. It's only achieved when I integrate mind, body, spirit. I don't know any other discipline, frankly, that allows me to live in this state because I don't turn it off you turn it off when I leave yoga. I've been praying and meditating. I haven't missed a day in over 55 years. Not a single day. But then when I leave it, I'm just normal folk. But in my prayer time, I always strive in meditation time to carry it through. So it's not just left there. So when I'm in my conscious loving breath, Henry, when I see the edge and arc of sound, when I'm using visceral language, conveying the emotion of words, these are ways that enable me to stay in the capital W work, as Kathy posted, and to stay in the conscious awareness, which enables me, at least gives me an opportunity to be all that's possible moment to moment. This, just one last thing, if I may. I know my time's almost up, but the individual I'm speaking about and working with in Atlanta the last 2 weeks is a wonderful former basketball player named Dwayne Wade. And he's such a wonderful man. And he did a podcast recently where he talks of life being made up of a series of moments. And I like to extend my moments so that they're longer and fuller and frankly, far more complex.
Arthur, you're not a name dropper, but allow me to for a moment. The foreword for his book is from Roger Goodell, the NFL commissioner, who sings his praises. When the NFL has their Hall of Fame ceremonies, they have their honorees work with Arthur to deliver amazing speeches. Arthur has worked with broadcasters like CBS Sports. These people know how to speak, but practice, putting the work in. Corporations, Hollywood movie stars, all have benefited from him through the years. Professor at USC. We could go on. Kathy, thank you so much for the author to post a PDF that would be helpful to people on Arthur's work. And Arthur, we would love to be with you in person. I say the we, that was the editorial royal we, but I meant the Indy family would love to have you in La Jolla again. And of course, if they ever work this out, you and I have had a standing rain check for 2 years to go to a Dodgers game together.
Doesn't look like it's going to happen.
Dodgers.
Jeez. And by the way, just sidebar, sorry folks, but there was another wonderful article this week about Dodger Stadium and the man who runs their horticulture division. And it's really quite wonderful because they've been designated as a real horticultural center because of what this man has built over the last 6 years. So when we go, we have to make sure we take time out to go tour the gardens.
Devin DeVries, my partner and family, and I've known her all her life. I took her to the playoffs.
Wow.
And she was pointing out things to me that I had never noticed in going there since 1968 about the architecture and the design and just just so many wonderful things just there as a place to see. But yeah, that's a sidebar. We'll do that. People know I'm a baseball nut. You are a confirmed Dodger nut too, and I say that with a lot of love. Okay. Thank you so much for taking time out of your busy schedule to be with us. And I think it's time for another Forbes.com column. So when you're ready, I'm ready.
I'm ready when
you're
you're
some
ready.
Wonderful columns.
You just let me know, my friend. I'm on it. You know what an honor.
Let's give it up for Arthur Samuel Joseph.
God bless you, Kathy. God bless you, Henry. Please say hello to Mark for me. And thank you so much.